Okay, so today we're going to be working on our court Jester. We're going to be drawing our Jester and hopefully getting to the balls he's throwing in the air. So you'll notice he has primary colors, so red, yellow, and blue, and secondary orange, green, and violet. So we'll do some color mixing on those. But the first thing we're going to be focusing on is our court Jester, getting that drawn and outlined, and if we possibly get to the other, that's great, okay? So today we're gonna learn about line and space so that I can fill my paper with my Jester drawing. So this sheet here you're going to be given, it gives you the instructions on how to draw the Jester. My paper is smaller just because it fits underneath here, but you'll be using a pretty large sheet of paper when you're drawing this, double the size of me. So always first thing, name and code, turn your paper over like this. And then step 1 says, start by drawing a short arch in the center of the paper from the bottom of the hat. So this is the bottom of the hat. So center of the paper, you want to kind of find it. It's about right here. And you'll notice, even in the picture, it arches kind of like from here to there. So you don't want to go all the way to the edge, okay? You want to make sure, you have a good hand or space in between it, if not a little bit larger than that, because the next one we're going to be doing these sections here, okay? So you have the arch, it's about middle of the paper, middle top, that's fine, but this is the middle, so just around that area. 2, it says draw curved lines from each side of the line and then draw curved lines towards the hat, add a curved top. So this is the curved top. So I have an arch like this and an arch like that. I'm almost going to the edge of the paper, okay? Then I'm gonna go back up here, and this one back up here, and then you're gonna do the top. It's kind of like this, curves down, and then back here. So this is the main hat, and those are the 2 little arches, okay? Next, step 3, add the U shape under the hat for the face and draw 2 rainbows for the top of the eyes, okay? So here's the Jester. We're going to draw a U shape here for the face and then 2 rainbows, so 2 curved lines for the eyes, okay? Step 4 says add the rest of the facial features with the eyes facing upward. Add a neck and zigzag collar. So the eyes want to be up because he's going to be juggling these balls that we're going to be making. So with the eyes, I'm going to add a little curve going the opposite way. The eyeballs, like right here, this is what's going to be facing up. So he looks like he's looking above him. You can have eyebrows if you want to. Nose, they have a really basic nose. You can draw that. You can add more details, that's fine. And then they have his mouth kind of, or her mouth if you wanted to make it hers, like this. They didn't even draw little lips, okay? So kept it really, really simple. Then you're gonna add the neck. So I'm gonna look on either side here. Draw 2 little lines for the neck, a little curve for his collar, and then you're going to do the zigzag shape. So zig, zag, zig, zag, zig, zag, zig. I can connect it, zag. Maybe I'll have another one right here. Okay, this is why I draw with pencil. You can erase. So now we're going to add the rest of the body. Now mine, I drew big, probably too big for this, but that's fine. I'm not gonna have much room for my body. I'll make sure when I do it on the larger sheet, I'll have plenty of room, okay? So we're gonna draw a V shape for the collar out to the top of the arms and then add 2 vertical lines for the body. So this is that V shape here. So you're not gonna see it much, but I'm gonna have it right there. Mine's gonna go off the page. Okay, and then I would have 2 lines here for the body. And then you're gonna connect the arms and the body and hands and draw an X on the inside for bells on the hat. So I would draw the rest of this. Okay, if you need any help, please let me know. I don't really have much room on mine. I can have little bells though on the ends of these. Little bells, and there's like always like a little cross at the top. That's where they jingle. I can add bells to the Jester's hat. I can add little details to his hat. I can have like a little line going up here just to kind of divide the space up. Whatever you want to make your Jester look interesting. Once you're finished with that, then you're going to take a black crayon and we're going to trace everything. And I like to use black because black gives you some definition. It also is going to help because when we paint, it's going to kind of hold the colors in because wax that makes up this crayon is going to give you like a barrier. So not that the water can't go over it, because it can if you have a lot of water, but it's not going to be, it's going to keep somewhat of a barrier to kind of help you out a little bit, especially if you're doing like a light color next to a dark color. Okay, so I'm tracing everything with my black crayon. And then once I'm finished tracing everything with my black crayon, I'm going to set this aside, okay? And then I have a separate paper here. We're going to be doing some color mixing. So I have the primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. These are the three most important colors. Without these three colors, you don't have your other colors, okay? I have a separate paper here. I'm gonna write my name on it because this especially is gonna look a lot like your neighbor's. So make sure you have your name on it. Then I'm gonna trace 6 circles. So I'll have little templates for you to trace. But you just wanna set these circles onto your paper and trace them. If they aren't perfectly spaced or there's a gap bigger between 2 than there is with a third, that's fine because these are going to be eventually cut out. So as long as you have a circle that is uninterrupted like these, you're good to go, okay? So I've got my paint, which you'll share with your table. You're also going to get one of these. This is water. It's like a dog bowl, so it's filled halfway with water, and then there's a sponge. And then if you need a paper towel, that's optional. And then, of course, you'll need a brush. And I chose a pretty good size brush. I don't want one of those little small brushes. So you're going to have 3 of these sections are going to be just the primaries. I will tell you when I'm mixing colors, I generally start with the lightest colors first. So I'm going to start with the yellow. And I like to go around here. If you go a little outside the edge, you're going to be fine on this one because you are going to be eventually cutting these out. So I'm just going to make sure I get it all painted. Okay, so painted the yellow. Now when I clean out my brush, I'm going to go to the water and I like to just kind of swirl it around, not splashing. I also kind of wipe on the edge. Okay, then you take the sponge here and kind of wipe it the rest of the way. Okay, and that should clean it out, excuse me. Because it's color mixing, I'm gonna even use this as an additional wipe just to make sure it's pretty perfect. Then I'm gonna go to another color. So let's say I go to the blue. So I'm gonna go around here. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect edges, but you wanna make sure you color it in with the paint. And I generally will go over it a couple times. Just because it's washable paint, it generally is a little thinner. So I finish the blue, go to my water, swirl it around, being careful not to splash, do that a couple times, maybe a third time, go to my sponge, and then paper towel just to get any excess off, okay? Now I'm going to my third and final color at the top here, my red. So I'm going to just put this like that. And then paint. Okay, so I've got my 3 primary colors mixed. Now I've got a little red on my brush, so I'm gonna use that for my next color. So rather than rinsing out my brush this time, I'm going to make a secondary color. So I can mix red and blue, I can mix red and yellow. I'm gonna mix red and yellow. So I can mix directly on here. So red and yellow. Now, I'm gonna tell you, yellow's pretty weak, so I double my yellow to my red, and then you can mix it right on here. Look how bright that is. I feel like I need more yellow. Then I'll paint that. So I might go back to this and lighten it up a little bit. Okay. Let me go into my water real quick. Dry that off. Go into my paper. I'm gonna get just yellow on my brush. That's a little bit better, a little more orangey. So even if I mix, and I mix lots of paints in my time, I even put too much red because I always forget with this washable yellow, it's even weaker than the typical yellow. But I can still tell this is orange and that's red, okay? So now I'm gonna go into this next one. So I'm gonna clean out my brush, dry it off. If I need to go back in here, you can do that. Wipe, dry it off, and then I'm gonna go into with my paper towel, okay? So I can keep on mixing with the red. So now maybe I'm gonna take red. Now I had red and yellow, now I'm gonna do red and blue, which makes violet. I will tell you, this violet that I mix is not gonna be like the violet you think of, okay? So I'm gonna mix it in this little tray. So blue and red. It's very, very dark, okay? It's like a deep, deep plum. So this is where that white comes in handy. So I'm gonna go in here with white. And you'll also be able to see, because it's so dark, you'll be able to see more what you have. So I like that. I might add a little more red. Red's gonna make it more of a raspberry. I kind of like that color, it's very pretty. So I'm gonna paint this one with that mixed color. And paint in the inside. If you have to mix more, then that's fine too. This should totally get mine ready. So I have orange, I have violet. Now there's only 2 more colors I have to mix. I mixed these 2 already, red and yellow to make orange. I mixed red and blue to make violet. Now I want to mix blue and yellow to make green. So I'm gonna go back into my water. Now I will say, with 4 people at your table, at this time, I mean, my water's kind of getting dingy. This is fine, but with 4 people doing this, I would probably rinse out the water 2 or 3 times during the class time, just to keep it nice. So that took a lot off of my brush. I'm gonna go back into the water, sponge. That made it a little bit lighter, okay? Then I'm gonna do this last one. Let me flip it this way so you can see it. So this time I'm gonna use yellow. So see how that kind of has like orange in it? So I'm gonna grab some yellow from the side. Remember my warning with yellow? It's very weak. So this time I'm gonna be even more careful. I'm just gonna very little bit of blue on my brush and then mix it. And then I can do a little bit more blue. So it's always best to add a little bit of color at a time. You can always add more, okay? I'm liking this. That might be a little too light, so I'm gonna go back to the blue again. I kind of wipe my brush on the edge here. Okay, I'm liking that green. Then I'm gonna go into this, just like I've done before, do an outline, and then you'll paint in the rest, okay? And remember, don't worry about going outside the lines, not important, okay? And then when I'm finished, I'm gonna clean off my brush, put that away, and I will clean out the trays. These are kind of tricky and they make more of a mess. So these are gonna go in the tall sink so they're safe. So all you have to worry about is cleaning out your brush and putting your artwork on the drying rack. And then next week we'll paint our head.